In today's reaction, we're going to show how BUBBA KUSH actually became one of the biggest strains in the world, how it was found, and honestly, how it has been something that's had its name changed so many times that so many people know it as different things, and a lot of people haven't necessarily ever got to experience the true one. So we're going to be highlighting exactly what the identifying factors are of the real one, and also we're going to be showing how cool of a journey it's actually came to be, something that really took over the game. And as far as right now, we don't see it in high demand, but there is a small group in the community who are just craving it to come back. A lot of people really want something that has that heavy punch, and everyone who has ever had BUBBA KUSH, the true one, knows that's the one that packs a punch.
Dr. Green Thumb itself kind of was birthed off of the, BUBBA KUSH, or, some people say Bubba. Cabers. We called it, like, the original name was Kush Bubba. It was Kush flipped. Bubba. It was Kush Bubba is what we called it for years, until it kind of became a little bit more commercialized. And then the BUBBA KUSH came more prevalent than anything else. And at that time, I don't even think we were still growing it, but we wanted to bring it back, man. That's like such a nostalgic strain. The taste on it is different. The smell is different than everything that's out there.
Let's get to it, because we have it on set. For everyone listening, we literally, Kenji brought a fresh batch of the original Bubba, like the original guys, like the one of one, right? The original BUBBA KUSH. Kenji brought a jar of it. And I mean, it reminds me of, remember when we used to hear platinum Bubba? Everyone used to say the word platinum Bubba because it has this look of like silver.
Yeah.
This has that look.
We've tried a bunch of different ones over the years, that have been either BUBBA KUSH, or pre-98 and all that. And then, my boy Paul out there in Vegas, y'all know him as Trap Jesus, was like, bro, I got your original Bubba. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. And everybody says that. And he's like, no, man, I'm telling you, I got the one. And that fucking guy sent it to me. And we ran it, and it's the one. And by random way of the planet, it ended up back in our hands. It's been out of my hands for about probably 15 years.
Man, shout out to you, Tribe.
So as you can hear, what they're talking about right here is there's so many differences in each pheno, and honestly, that's something that isn't necessarily known by the masses. It's something that gets thrown over a lot of people's heads when they're going to buy seeds or going to get a clone, because a lot of people are going and usually not going to get one of each. They're not going to go try sample all of these different things because it's very expensive to do so. It's just very expensive and very taxing on a lot of things. Say if you're someone who isn't a big smoker, it's not necessarily going to be something you're just going to be amazed with. If you're not going to be just running through all these different versions of one strain, you're more likely to try all these different strains, because trying different batches of one thing to a lot of people isn't appealing. A lot of people get the bad taste of one thing off the bat and will never go back and try another version of it from a different grower. And when you do that, most of the times you will get to see that there's huge differences in the way people do things. So it's something that goes a long way. And this is especially the case with things that have power, like a Gorilla Glue or a BUBBA KUSH, for easy example. These things will definitely be very much depending on if you have the keeper. It's like a Mac 1. If you haven't had the proper Mac 1, you're going to hate Mac 1. Mac 1 is shitty if you don't have the capulators cut of it. It's terrible if you don't have the caps cut. But if you have the caps cut, it's amazing. It's same thing with Gorilla Glue. If you have the number 4, you're going to be blown away. If you have any of the other ones, it's going to be very disappointing because of a lot of reasons.
Others would look at that as an opportunity for karma, to like bring some type of karma loop together and be able to complete the cycle of like giving someone back a piece of the puzzle. I fucking love that, bro. I absolutely like, I tried to do that for my mentor for years. And like, man, this is such an exceptional, unique strain, Kenji, that like
Appreciate it, brother.
there's nothing on the market that I'm going to go get that's going to be this. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing I can go to the dispensary or to someone's house and be like, yo, bro, original Bubba. Or like coffee grinds and mothballs and funk. I want that. And they're like, bro, what are you talking about?
We're just talking about high times and those old school events. You know, I don't know what is like 11, 12, 13, 14, something like that, where you used to see 5, 6, 700 vendors over there.
Yeah.
And a lot of them would be fire. Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them were coming out of the garage.
It's all single source.
Single sourced. Everybody's doing it. They watch it from the beginning to end, and it was more passion, right? The culture was there, and the people that supported the brands were there, and it was like a giant party, swap meet-ish vibe, and everybody had a great time.
So this is a great point right here. It's definitely very true that there was a lot more passion in the game at that point, and there was a lot more people like Trap Jesus and all these different guys who are out here doing things more for the passion of the plant versus for the profit. And that's something that can go a long way, just as much as being super money hungry can go a long way. We can see there's definitely more positive and better chance of having good karma when you do it like this, though, when you actually are trying to give back and trying to do it as proper as you can. So that's something that is really cool to see them mention Trap Jesus. It's also very interesting to hear this side of it, because back in the day, a lot of people do really claim that there was better stuff around, there was really good stuff around, and I don't doubt that. I just definitely think it is situational, because of course back in the day there also was like the Mexican brickweed. So at these different sessions that they're speaking about right now, I can only imagine it was very cool to go to each table, versus nowadays sometimes you go to each table and it's the same thing in different bags, and that doesn't seem like it was ever the case back then. Sometimes they probably had no clue exactly what each one was, but it definitely was something that a lot of people were able to just be amazed at going to each table, which is something that is kind of rare to see now.
I'm bro.
Definitely.
How did you find the Bubba Kush, and what was your role in this?
All right, so I think we could flash back to pretty much 1990. It might have been the beginning of 97 or the end of 96. I was rolling around with B at that time, right? Like heavy touring, all that kind of shit. You know, for years before that already, we were all smoking weed. We're all still, you know, doing like the little closet or backyard grow. Some of us had little rooms and stuff like that. But we had a friend, and this guy's name was Mike. And Mike was friends with Matt Berger and Josh D, right? They had a house over there in, I think this house might have been Silver Lake or the Hollywood house. I'm not sure. But anyways, we're over there at B Real's house, and we had just got back off of, you know, a bunch of tours. Amsterdam, the first time I ever brought back and bought seeds. I bought genetics. Those were the first ones, was Amsterdam. So we were in the middle of starting to plant all those things. And Mike brought me a bag of seeds, and he's like, this is the, you know, this was from the Bubba and Kush. It was just like, it was bag seed, basically. It wasn't, I don't think it was an intentional breeding project or whatever. Anyways,
Most weren't at that time. That's what's funny.
Yeah.
Most of the seeds getting passed around were like, oops, hey bro, pop this.
I mean, you know, anyways, however that happened.
Yes.
We ended up with the seeds, and we just planted them with all these other things. So it was like the pheno hunt at B Real's house. So at the same time as it was the Kush Bubba being done, it was like White Rhino, White Widow, Calio, you know, I think Black Domina or something else back then. And anyways, come the three ones that we selected, right? There was K1, K2, and K3, right? The one we know now as the Bubba was K2. K1 was this one that looked more like OG than it did Bubba. It was way more stocky than OG, and but the buds kind of look like the Bubba now and white, and it was what I thought at the time, the one.
The one was the best one.
The one was the best one, and the hunt was outside. It wasn't even inside yet.
So who knows really though? Yeah, because you really need 3-4 runs. Yeah.
Anyways, that one got fucked up, wormed out, like, you know, it didn't make it. But at the same time, the one that we all know now was going, and I was like, dude, this shit smells like fucking coffee and chocolate. It was the weirdest fucking thing. And then it was the structurally, you know, each leaf had, you know, 3-finger wide blades on it, and you know, it was bigger than our hand. It was like, you know, 10-11 inch blades, and it just became the stockiest crazy plant. And the way it grew, and how tight it grew and how loud one plant was just like, wow, this is like something that we want to fuck with, right?
So as you can hear, it was basically all an accident, which a lot of the true classics were. There were actually sort of accidents. There was a lot of things that got pollinated by accident, or they somehow just came across the bag seed that they somehow grew to be one of the most famous things in the world. And then what that did is made a lot of people start breeding with these different things, where now people have claims saying that they're the ones that created all these different things, and it's very shady on who actually really created these different things, because a lot of these were actually found by accident, which dirties the history. It makes it so that a lot of people can claim they were the guy when who really knows. There was that whole different thing with Haze. There was the whole thing with Skittles. And I think it will always be the case. It's always going to be controversial who actually created certain things, because sometimes the person who creates the hype wasn't the one who actually found it and made it. So it's definitely a tricky game when it comes to that, but that's the whole part of the fun that goes into breeding. Is a lot of these different things are just duds, but when you actually find that gem, it's gonna make all that work worth it. So it's definitely really cool to see some of these guys who are doing these insane pheno hunts and actually finding new things. But then again, there's also some people who are just running all types of crazy things and just labeling it in a hype way that is allowing certain things to pass when it's actually just nowhere near what would actually be called a keeper, would actually be something that inherits the true value, because there is some stuff that is out there that is pretty much valueless. So definitely very much a tricky part of the game.
So boom, we got that one, and then we loaded up his garage, right? So the garage was just, at that time, there wasn't a lot of hydro stores, right? We didn't know here how to really build indoor rooms at like a scale at that time, because there wasn't, you know, there was one store on like Reseda Boulevard and then another in like North Hollywood. And it was like you get HPS or you get metal halide. So anyways, we plant that shit in his garage, and we're doing it in the Dutch trays. I don't know if you ever have seen those things, but they're like 6-inch wide by maybe like 3 feet long, and we filled them with Hydroton. And the build was a bunch of those trays stacked on 2x4s that were parked on, you know, cinder blocks in this room with some HPS.
So like almost like beds, like hydroponic beds.
Like hydro beds, yeah. So it's like hydro, like, but
gutter style.
Gutter,
Yeah.
like literally
Yeah.
the water ran into a gutter that we got from Home Depot.
Bro, that was okay. My first setup, same thing. Okay, got you.
That crop was so silver and frosty. And again, we didn't really know too much about, like, before we planted shit outside a little bit here or there. That was the run on the hydro. So it was like a constant feed, right? Like rockwool blocks on top of these hydro tons. And, you know, the plants fucking loved it, bro. And that run, like, me and B-Real would be out, and, you know, right about a block away, there was a stop sign from his house. And, you know, we're out partying, whatever, come back at like 1 or 2 in the morning. We're like, fuck, dude, this shit fucking stinks, man. Like, the whole fucking neighborhood was blasted. that room kind of became like the Dr. Green Thumb song. Like that was, the 20 plants stinking up the neighborhood. Like that was I can't say it's the inspiration for it, but that was kind of like where all that shit started, talking about Kush, even though it was Bubba, but that was that time. And that song came out in 98.
It planted the seed.
It planted the seed.
And as you can hear, this one is definitely something that was screaming. It was one of those strains that was able to really draw in a lot of people based off the smell, which today, of course, we do see a huge demand for candy. But if you look at a lot of these gas strains that still get dropped as small batch or micro batch, we start to see that a lot of them have no smell long term. It's something that fades away very quick, and even if it is something that is there noticeable, it's not going to be something that's reeking through bags. It's not going to be reeking through a jar. It's going to be something that is pretty controllable. It's almost stuff that you can go through the airport with, because it's basically not even going to smell like weed anymore. A lot of the stuff is just awful when it comes to the smell. So something like this was definitely a head turner at that time. It was always going to be a head turner, even if you have it today. It's just something that is just unmistakable. It's something that is definitely going to call in a certain crowd, and it's definitely going to make a certain crowd kind of fearful because it's that strong of a smell. And that's like something like a GMO, if it's good enough. Some of these real gassy, funky, raunchy strains, they usually smell very weird, but they're going to give you an effect that is nothing comparable. It's going to be something that's actually going to have like a medical effect. And a lot of these candy things, these dessert things, are just sweet and appetizing, but they're basically appetizers. They're not going to fill you up. They're basically going to have you craving more in 15 to 30 minutes.
Matt and those guys got it back. Some people got it. All of us that were, old school Valley heads, the homies, we all had it, and we started blowing up neighborhoods with it.
Oh, so you actually then gave it back to everybody. Yeah. Man, that's also commend to you, because you knew you had something special, because obviously you're getting, when those harvests were coming in, were they going for a high ticket?
So Bubba at that time was like, I think our prices were all around like $7,000 plus. OG at that time was like, you couldn't even get pounds that early. It was like you were getting eights, and they were $100, because I think it was grown in like 4-lighters. No one had it, and no one was giving it up at that particular time. Right. And it stayed that way, I think, all the way into the early 2000s. By the time we all had OGs and were running it, and it was a very tight cruise, but $8,000 a pound type prices, and it rode that for.
This number almost sounds crazy to a lot of people, because in today's time we see stuff going for 800, and it's for good reason why it's going for that price. There's nothing quality going for super low right now, and there wasn't ever really anything that was quality going for super low, which leads a lot of people to have a blurred vision of what quality is or what the value is. It's just something that gets lost when overproduction happens. Once so much shit is just getting thrown at the fan, it starts to appear that everything is similar, because there's similar looks, there's similar smells maybe, but there isn't necessarily similar effects, similar tastes. These are things that are hard to actually dial in and actually ensure are going to be satisfying for those super heady connoisseur types, those ones that are a little bit more picky. It's going to be hard to please them when you are overproducing, and that's why there's such a difference in pricing, but there's also such a displeasure in the pricing, because a lot of people are almost gambling when they are those connoisseur types. They are gambling and trying to find which brands are just hype or which are actually worth it. So something that is maybe a little bit easier back then. Probably not. I think the fact that stuff was going for such a high ticket probably means that there was never a point when a bad batch would be going for lower. So I think at that time, the fact that they're saying all OG was going for 108, it's pretty crazy. It's mind blowing because of inflation and all that. It's something that you see today, and a lot of people are just mind blown over, but it's always been happening. It's always been, you have to pay for quality. You're not going to get the best thing in the world unless you actually know the right person or have the means of doing it. So it's similar to today, and maybe better today, maybe worse. Who knows?
It's so interesting, bro, because like when I think OG Kush, I think green, and when I think Bubba, I think silver. Like just
silver,
something about that, and like
people call it silverback and all
so
this other kind of shit
unique.
because it was just like, it's kind of got the trikes were really, or like, and the oil on it was really, it was clear but silver at the same time. It was like the silver had a clear coat over it. You know what I mean? And just the way the buds looked were completely different than anything that we seen at that time. You know, high school, I think the best shit we seen was NO5 and Skunk One. Those were the strains, you know.
And this is on the other end of the spectrum when you think nose wise. I mean, 100%. This is like
but coming
offensive.
from, you know, dudes at that time, we were smoking, you know, like by the time we picked out all the seeds and the stems out of the joints, you know, there wasn't much left, you know. And then you got those green bags that were like 0.8 for $25, you know.
I mean, back then we didn't really, you wouldn't openly smoke publicly. I mean, we were with that crew that made it our business to smoke publicly. It always created all kinds of problems.
It's impossible. This down the block, this right here on a windy day, you smell this for 5 to 10 blocks. If you're smoking this in New York City and you're sitting down on the corner, 5 blocks down the road on a windy day, I bet they're getting whiffs of this. I mean, this is, and because this is like when you think potent nose, this is everything you think of when you're thinking what old school weed is about. Like when I think, why do I love old school strains? This is why. This literally epitomizes why I love old school strains, because it brings everything to the table. It's like, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm going to be offensive while I do it, smell wise, like to the point where you can't even hide it. You're putting a baggie inside of a baggie inside of a baggie, and you're like, it ain't working. You know, a jar inside of a bag.
One
it's
nug
like,
in your car, it smells like a pound now.
and it's just like everything about old school weed that we're like missing today. A lot of people feel like, and a lot of people haven't even tried art. There's 30 to 50% of the population that hasn't had actual weed on like a caliber of this, where they can be like, oh, this is a different thing than what we see today. And I'm not going digging on what we see today. It's just a different thing. There's different options. It's like going to different restaurants and you finally get to something. You're like, oh, there's a different caliber. Oh, got you. Okay.
Which is great, right? That's part of the opportunity. That's part of, you know, our job is to introduce and create new connoisseurs out of whoever wants to become a connoisseur. You don't become a pizza connoisseur on your first slice of pizza. You kind of something you're interested in, you like eating, you know, foodie, whatever it is. So I think the opportunity is to keep focusing on what's inside that jar, and that speaks for itself. So then you do that right, and ultimately people who are curious enough about their consumption and about the whole process, just like whether it's drinking wine, whether it's having good scotch, it's like part of the process. You learn from people, you get to a point where you want to try different things, and then you lean on the people who are doing that the right way. If I want to, you know, taste some good cigars, I'm going to lean on someone who's turned it into a craft. It's something they seek and study about and want to learn. So hey, we need a new part of the culture, the younger part of the culture, to embrace it, and our job is to keep leading with quality, and that way they could be introduced to what you're talking about.
That's the goal.
And this is very true. Nowadays, the only way for the hype to be killed is if honestly, the right people get the voice and the right people use it properly. So it's something that is just something that's going to happen over time. I think everything happens in cycles, and what we see right now is definitely the hype period, and it's kind of dying off. Seems to be dying off faster and faster each day, and that's somewhat good. It's definitely good. I think that the hype train definitely brought a lot of attention to the plant, and that was a really cool thing. That was something that was very much the brighter side of it. So there is definitely still positive in it, but there's also some people who now have been spending so much on certain things that they are really craving the better side, and it's gonna come. It's definitely gonna come, and especially once these people who are doing the proper jobs actually connect with the people they need to connect with, all of the different things will start to piece themselves out. I do think seeing stuff like this is a huge motivation, so do appreciate anyone who's watched this to the end. If you want to see more reaction videos, I will be doing a lot more within the next few weeks, but I also hopefully will have some interviews posted within the next week or so. I have this one that I'm working on, and I really think everyone's going to be very happy once I have that one posted, so keep an eye out.